Bay Aqua Sports presents the Delano Little Show.
Welcome to Bay Aqua Sports, the Delano Little Show. Our special guest today is one of my favorites, talking about Marcus Smith. Good to have you here.
Good to be here.
Chief Operating Officer of Speedway Motorsports Incorporated, but there's so much other stuff you can say. To President of Charlotte Motor Speedway. If somebody were to come up to you and ask you what do you do and who you are, what would you say?
Well, I always tell people I work at the Speedway. That's my main answer. And then I'll say, I kind of do a lot of customer service, and we sell race tickets, we put on events, and of course people ask more questions and what's that like. Usually the first question I get about Speedway is, what else do you guys do besides NASCAR when you don't have a NASCAR race in town? And we have a lot of events, we do a lot of things. We're always planning for events, having events, or cleaning up after an event.
Yeah, you just finished with the fair. You had a fair, and
we had the Charlotte Fair in one of our big campground parking lots about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And then we just finished up our big car show called the Charlotte Auto Fair. And then we're getting ready for the Coca-Cola 600.
Gotcha. And you got Speedway Christmas too. There's so many things that people don't even think about what you do over there.
Drag racing at ZMAX Dragway. We have a few shows there every year. We do lots of car shows. All sorts of fun events. Like you said, our Christmas show is a family favorite, a lot of tradition, over 10 years now with our Christmas show. And we do that around the country. And it's a really neat thing to be able to have millions of Christmas lights and people that come out to our speedways that wouldn't otherwise come out.
Well, I know you do way more than just that. I know you're being kind of humble with that, and we'll get to that in just a minute here. But my biggest question of the day, this is the biggest question of the day that I'm going to hit you with.
All right.
We've known each other for quite some time. I mean, we've seen each other when I was working in television, Speedway, and we've always had a cordial relationship. You've always been fantastic to me. We hadn't seen each other because when I retired back in 2018, we didn't see each other. And then we had the pandemic and we didn't see each other. And of all places, I thought if I ever saw Marcus again, it would probably be at a sporting event or a race, a Knights baseball game, something like that.
Yeah.
We run into each other at the mall.
Oh, yeah.
The mall. How does that happen? I don't ever go out to the mall, and there you are.
Really?
I see you, and I'm like, what's it, Marcus Smith? And you looked at me and you said, it's Delano Little.
Yeah.
Would you buy anything good? Or
I think I was there returning something for my wife. And usually if I'm doing that, I'll go and look at some shoes or see if they've got anything else I might be interested in. But I think I was over there that night get some shoes for my wife or returning some.
Okay.
And I don't know. I go over there once in a while and have to get a couple things. I actually really like to buy locally. I'm a big proponent of buying local. I try not to buy online as much because I just like supporting local stores, local people that work in retail. So that's one of my things. So I probably go to the mall, more often than a lot of people.
Wow, how about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You talk about local. You're local.
Yeah.
Your family's local. You grew up here.
Yeah.
What was high school like when you were thinking about getting into business and moving into college and things of that nature? Were you thinking about doing everything except getting into racing because your father, obviously at Icon, Bruton Smith, the CEO of Speedway Motorsports Incorporated, a bit larger than life.
Right.
Were you trying to get away from that, or what was in your mind? What's running through your mind?
Yeah. So for me, I grew up a kid in Charlotte. Went to Country Day. My brothers and sister and I, just were normal kids. We didn't think a whole lot about kind of the position that our dad was in, but we had to work a lot. We had a lot of chores that we had to be busy with every weekend, and for some reason, I really decided I'm not going in the car business or the racing business, and because all I had, in my experience of that was just hot summer work.
Right.
And but ironically, I really grew to love it, and it was one of those things that when you're a kid, all you want to do is go play. But as I grew up a little bit more and got into my my later years of high school, I realized, I really enjoy this. But there was a time when I thought, maybe I want to be a banker, maybe I want to be a lawyer. But what I really settled in, when people asked me what I wanted to do when I was a senior in high school, that's when people start to ask you, what are you going to major in? You going to college? And so I would tell people I want to be a doctor. And that came from playing the board game Life with my family. That's one of our favorite games. We play Life, and the doctor, I always wanted to be the doctor. And so I would play that game. My mom would tell me, hey, you'd be a great doctor. And I kind of liked my my pediatrician. He was always a nice guy, and I liked hanging out with kids at summer camp. I really enjoyed coaching summer camp or just being a camp counselor. And I thought, well, I like kids. I like my pediatrician. Maybe I'll be a doctor.
Right.
So I went to Carolina and started off, with biology and chemistry and calculus. And after that freshman year, I didn't do very well at chemistry and calculus. So I kind of saw the writing on the wall.
Yes.
maybe I'm not gonna, be a great doctor, and just didn't think that I was going to be able to handle the next 8 or 10 years of training. So I thought, well, I'm going to try maybe an inside job at the Speedway. And for me, an inside job was a new thing because I was always used to, working outside. I did a lot of painting, did a lot of yard work at the Speedway. I was great with a weed eater. I could weed eat anything. I cut hair with a weed eater. It was just, all day, every day. There's, 1,000 acres out there that needed attention. So that was, my brothers and I did a lot of work out there. But that freshman year, 2 things happened. One, I really learned to love the business and love the people. And I had a great meeting, this chance meeting with Franklin Graham, who, Billy Graham's son. Franklin came to Charlotte Motor Speedway for the Coke 600, and he was speaking at Chapel. And after Chapel, I had a chance to meet him. Just so happens my middle name is Graham, after Billy Graham.
Gotcha.
So meeting Franklin.
You were named after Billy Graham?
After Billy Graham,
gotcha.
Yeah. And I told him, my mom and dad named me Marcus Graham Smith. The Graham is after, your family's name, Graham. And I told him what an honor it was to meet him. And he asked me as a young guy, what do you want to do with your life? And I had a lot of pressure. I felt a lot of pressure with that question from somebody who I admired so much.
Right.
And I told him, I thought about medicine, but I haven't done very well in calculus and chemistry. I thought about ministry because I really was involved in my faith in college, and it was something I enjoyed, the fellowship of that, and I really wanted to do something with a purpose in my life. And I thought he would like that, and he just kept listening. And I said, or maybe work here at the Speedway. And his eyes lit up, and he said, boy, what a great opportunity to have an impact on people. And it's the first time that I had kind of thought, well, can you intersect faith and work? And I said to him, well, we could have a big Billy Graham crusade here at the Speedway. And he said, well, you could do that, but what I was talking about is just the everyday workings of the Speedway and the big events you hold. This is life. This is a great place to have a positive impact on people. And so sure enough, that made a huge impact on me. It's the first time I'd ever really put the idea that you could have your faith life intersect with your regular life. And for me, wanting to have an impact on people in my life, to have a purpose with my job, that was a big thing. And ever since that point, I really focused on working at the Speedway, and enjoyed thinking about that and working on that at school. And then finally, coming out, starting work at the Speedway, I feel really blessed and thankful to have a job that I enjoy, work with people I like, and to make a positive impact on the people that we serve, that are customers.
Well, great advice then, right?
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic. And now you do what you do, and we're going to go more into that coming up in just a few minutes about what you do on a daily basis and the sport of NASCAR, where is it? Some of those questions coming up right after this. Thank you for watching the Bay Hackle Sports Show with Delano Little. Stay here. Welcome back to Bay Hackle Sports, the Delano Little Show, joined again by Marcus Smith, Chief Operating Officer of Speedway Motorsports Incorporated. So good to have you here. Thank you for coming and
enjoying it.
You know, it was good to see you that day in the mall, and you said you would come on the show. I just found out I was going to be doing the show, and I was in there shopping for some shoes or something like that too.
Nice.
And it was good to see you. But you're a man to your word for coming on the show, and we appreciate that. Okay, so you're getting ready to go. Now working full time at the Speedway and getting in. But before you mention that, you come out of college, UNC. Are you a Tar Heel fan? Were you excited about the
Yes.
NCAAs?
Oh man, it's amazing. I've got a great group of Tar Heel friends and coworkers, and we actually got a chance to go down to the Final Four in New Orleans.
Oh wow!
So we did that, and what an opportunity to go to the Final Four, play against Duke. Coach K's last game, hopefully for us, it was, and it, that night, the Final Four, Saturday night, was unbelievable, and just certainly a lot of fun for us as Tar Heel fans. We had a whole group and had a lot of fun with that.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Yeah, and the national championship slipped through our fingers, but I enjoyed halftime. That was a great celebration, being ahead by double digits, and we just couldn't hold on. But
but you go back to the beginning of the season. I know my business partner here at the Public House Restaurant, he's a huge Tar Heels fan. In the beginning of the season, he was like, "We're terrible. We're awful. There's no way we're doing anything."
We weren't even sure we were going to make the tournament.
Yes.
So
and you go out and make it to the championship game.
We had a great season.
Yes, and just like your life, I mean, you never know where it's going to lead to, and there you go. Now you're at the Speedway, and you're doing good things. On a daily basis, what do you do? Because when you think of Speedway Motorsports Incorporated, you got, I've read 9, but you just said 11 tracks that you're involved in now, right? 11
we just bought 2 new speedways, one in Dover, Delaware, and one in Nashville, Tennessee. We just heard from the state of North Carolina that they're going to grant some of the ARP funds, the American, what's it called? ARP is an acronym for some federal funds that are going to support kind of rebuilding and revitalizing different parts of the country. Mm-hmm. And so $18 million is going from the governor's office to North Wilkesboro Speedway to help us revive North Wilkesboro Speedway, 75-year-old NASCAR classic, in the hills of Wilkes County, North Carolina, where if you know about NASCAR, it started with fast cars that used to run moonshine. Right. Moonshine started in Wilkes County.
I interviewed Junior Johnson one day.
You did?
So, yeah, so
great.
Deep
well, you know all about Wilkes County. And so it's a really special thing. All the people in Western North Carolina and NASCAR fandom are excited about seeing this revival of North Wilkesboro Speedway.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. Now, so let's talk about the future of NASCAR, because it's been killed 1,000 times. I mean, when I was still working in television, people would say, "Oh, NASCAR's not going to make it. It's not going to make it. It's not going to make it." It's made it, and it's still continuing to grow. I mean, what is the state of NASCAR right now, and where do you see it going in the future?
Well, it's interesting. I think you're right. There was always there were times when people were against or negative on NASCAR's future, and back in the 70s, I was just a kid, but people tell me about the gas crisis and rationing, and that was a really difficult time in NASCAR. You fast forward through the 90s, and it was just a rocket ship. It was huge growth for NASCAR, new markets, new tracks. Through the 2000s, big TV ratings and crowds. And then after the Great Recession, we had a big slump since 2009. But over the last couple of years, we've really seen a fantastic resurgence. And, the NASCAR has been a really strong national sport now for really 30 years. When you look at TV ratings and attendance and the markets that we're in, it's a very strong and stable sport, and it's really no wonder when you think about racing. Racing it's just part of humanity. Ever since the second car was built, there's been racing, and that's really what NASCAR is for all of us in America, and Formula One internationally, but NASCAR is so unique to the U.S. And so you have great characters that drive these cars, and the owners that own the teams now, with people like Michael Jordan and Pitbull getting involved in NASCAR. It's just amazing. Floyd Mayweather just announced this year he's getting involved as an owner. Just really, really neat to see the growth of the sport, the next chapter of the sport, and there are great things ahead for us. We've got fantastic TV partners,
Yes.
great fans that have been with us for generations, and we really want to provide a place in our events for people to make memories that last a lifetime.
Which played right into the next question I was getting ready to ask about minorities in NASCAR. That was always a big issue, and it came up, and it continues to be talked about as you move forward with Bubba Wallace. And I saw him on a TV show the other day. I think the View was on, and I was watching that, and he was on there. And he said that he feels like there's been some change. He's seen a lot of change, and then you feel like you've seen that change too, obviously, with Michael Jordan joining in.
I have. Bubba has really done a fantastic job of being candid. Being one of my mentors said, be friendly, firm, fair, and frank. And I think Bubba has done a really good job being candid with the sport. And back in 2020, he said, we got to get rid of the Confederate flag. That was, somebody asked him, what does NASCAR need to do? And he said, get rid of the Confederate flag. That was a big turning point. We listened, we did that, and something happened. It was just this moment that, I guess it was more than a moment because it's lasted, and it's really shown through that in NASCAR, we want everybody to feel welcome. That's the message. It's not about reaching out into one group of people. It's about making everybody feel welcome, because our venues, our events are so big. We want everybody who enjoys a good time and a cold drink and a hot dog and a hamburger and funnel cake, my favorite item at the track, not to mention corn dogs. But that's really what we want to do. Have fun at the track, welcome everybody. Bubba's done a phenomenal job with that. He's got a great series on Netflix talking about his story and race and how it applies to him and the sport of NASCAR. It was a really good show.
Well, speaking of favorites, we're going to come back here in just a second and hear some of your favorites. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about that over the years. So, Bayhackle Sports, the Delano Little Show, will be right back. Welcome back to Bayhackle Sports, the Delano Little Show, here again with Marcus Smith, Chief Operating Officer of Speedway Motorsports Incorporated, President, Charlotte Motor Speedway, a lot of titles, but just a good, down-to-earth guy. You seem like is that true? Is that who you are? I mean,
I think so, I guess. I'm a regular guy. I've got a great job. I mean, I know that. I've got a great job. I've got a great family. My dad really paved the way. Coming out of Oakboro, North Carolina, building Charlotte Motor Speedway, kind of defying all the expectations. He's a person that, he's so inspiring, and that I feel really blessed and thankful to have that kind of family that we just work hard and try to have fun.
Yeah. Well, we all know that your dad is a character. I met him many times and talked with him. Characters as far as NASCAR drivers, who stuck out to you most as just one of those characters when you met him and said, "Oh, he's just crazy."
Yeah, boy. We have great characters in the sport. That's the thing that's so neat. You gotta talk about people like Richard Petty, the king, somebody. And one of the things I love, I'll give you a few names: Richard Petty, Dale Earnhardt, and John Force. John Force is the Elvis of drag racing.
Right.
And they're all three very different people, but they're all three kind of the kings of their sport. And I think it's so neat that you can have these different perceptions. And I'll throw another one in there, Jeff Gordon, rock star of a person and a driver, one of the best ever. And all four of them are they're true to themselves. They're genuine people. And I think that's the quality that fans seem to really be drawn to. I love to learn by watching. I do a lot of observing and kind of mental notes, and you try to figure out what does it take to be great, or what does it take to be a fantastic race car driver, a popular race car driver. And it doesn't take one particular thing or one way of being. It's all these individual people doing their job in a really great way, but being genuine and true to themselves and their character. And then, of course, I think the other common element, other than being genuine, is caring about the people, caring about the sport, caring about what they do. And that's something that I have observed in people like Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt and Richard Petty and John Force, Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Yes.
Phenomenal people that really care about the sport, the fans, and they're just true to who they are. They're individually very different people, but very similar in how they approach who they are and their relationship with the fans.
Moving forward, if you had one or two changes that you think could help NASCAR grow even bigger and better, would you know what that would be? Would you have that already in your mind?
Maybe. I probably would. I think about it a lot. It's part of my job. I think that I love to boil things down to the simplest things, the basics. I think that's the key to how do you do things great. And it really comes down to some of the basic things, and it's caring about people. NASCAR needs to always remember that we race for the fans, and drivers are competing, the teams are competing, but none of that happens if fans aren't there. And that is the number one thing, that no matter how amazing the production is, no matter how high tech everything gets, all of the elements of technology that are woven into the sport, everything else only happens if our fans are having fun. And I know it's very analog. It's not, it's not high def. It's not AI. It's just a very analog element of having fun. And people will make time available and money available if they're having fun and they enjoy the activity.
Well, I've had a lot of fun. I'm just sitting here and talking with you. It's been a special pleasure for me. You've been really one of my favorite people. And I don't necessarily get a chance to tell you that, but you just always exude that you're wanting people to be a part of everything, and you've always been that way. So, Marcus Smith, thank you so much for spending a little time with us today. We appreciate you. We appreciate you. That's the Bay Hackle Sports Show, the Delano Little Show for this week. Hope to see you next week.